What is the state of this union? Joe Biden gave the report to an unmasked Congress, and boy, were some of them giddy. Yes, I did just give some truth, which is more than what Joe did in that crap sandwich speech. Let me explain. I'm tired, team. I'm tired for many a reason, but mostly I'm tired that I had to stay awake for the entirety of the State of the Union address and then rewatch it. Unlike Joe, I was not pumped full of who knows what to get me through that production. A production of lies.
Under my plan, nobody, let me say this again, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay an additional penny in new taxes. Not a single penny. In fact, our economy created over 6.5 million new jobs just last year. More jobs in 1 year than ever before in the history of the United States of America.
After you shut down thousands of small businesses, kicked people out of their jobs if they didn't get the jab, and hello, inflation. Can't wait to see it turn to stagflation. But our economy is so good that we need to just blow out more spending with more ridiculous socialistic wish lists.
Let's pass the Paycheck Fairness Act and paid leave. Raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour and extend the child tax credit so no one has to raise a family in poverty. Let's increase Pell Grants, increase our historic support for HBCUs, and invest in what Jill, our First Lady who teaches full-time, calls America's best-kept secret, community colleges.
Look, we are all Susan Collins in that moment. On to more of what Joe does best.
Most Americans can remove their masks and stay in the classroom and move forward safely. We won't stop because you can't build a wall high enough to keep out a vaccine. The vaccine can stop the spread of these diseases.
What?
But it'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people.
Ukrainian people.
We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. We're the only nation on earth that has always turned every crisis we've faced into an opportunity. The only nation that can be defined by a single word: possibilities.
Translation: never let a good crisis go to waste. They haven't, and they won't.
I've come to report on the state of the nation, the State of the Union. And my report is this: the State of the Union is strong because you, the American people, are strong. Go get him.
Who are you going to get? And please stop yelling at me. Gee willikers. That ridiculous speech was only an hour and 2 minutes, and yet Joe was able to get in more than a dozen look and folks, alongside a reference to his daddy and even some of our wildlife targets.
Ban assault weapons with high-capacity magazines that hold up to 100 rounds. You think the deer are wearing Kevlar vests?
Which brings us to today's question. Did you watch the State of the Union? Let me know your thoughts about said State of the Union in the comments below. And please share this video because people should see how bad it has gotten without having to actually sit through the entire blathering. Let's be honest. These State of the Union addresses are all pomp and circumstance. It's the closest all of these politicians will get to a Miss USA pageant, with all of the fake waving, fake smiles, fake tans, fake tears, and fake teeth. And that just describes Nancy Pelosi. Okay, you're right. I should amend my previous statement to say almost all politicians. He who must not be named used to own them, after all. And I'm talking about owning both the pageant and the politicians. Boom roasted. On that note of Orange Man bad and the note of notes, looks like another note made its way to Biden from the former president. Jen Psaki revealed on a podcast with actor Rob Lowe that President Trump did leave a letter to Biden, as is customary for outgoing presidents to do.
On my first day, before I did my first briefing, I was in the Oval Office talking with him about the briefing and anything he wanted me to convey or what I expect or whatever. And I said, I think you're going to be asked about the letter that the former president left you. And he said, oh, did he leave me a letter? And I was like, am I telling him he was left a letter? I don't know. Okay. So I said, I think so. I think that's what happened. So he kind of looked around for the letter and read the letter while I was sitting there, which was just kind of a remarkable moment.
Riveting. As riveting as Psaki doing her job as the spinster. Asked by George Snuffleupagus 2 days before the State of the Union what Americans should expect to hear, she said this.
But what people will also hear from President Biden is his optimism and his belief in the resilience of the American people and the strength of the American people. And you know, George, from covering State of the Unions for some time, that it is about delivering a message to the public at a moment in time. And if you look back when President Obama gave his first State of the Union, it was during the worst financial crisis in a generation. When President Bush gave his first State of the Union, it was shortly after 9/11. Leaders lead during crises. That's exactly what President Biden is doing. He'll speak to that, but he's also going to speak about his optimism about what's ahead and what we all have to look forward to.
Is that what you heard during the State of the Union? Because I must have missed that. Really, Psaki should be cozying up to George or maybe the cronies at CNN or MSNBC, where it's reported on reporting that reporting, Psaki may pontificate from behind the desk abdicated by Rachel Maddow, or maybe she just wants to take the place of the Tater, Brian Stelter, or any of the other activists there at CNN. Any and all of them have been trying to cover up the fact that Biden just keeps sinking in the polls as much as they have been. Latest polling shows Biden's approval rating cratering down to 37 to 39%. And again, the first year was supposed to be the honeymoon period. He's got a rocky road, not the ice cream, ahead of him in this relationship. It's almost like the relationship Joe shares with his vice president, which brings us to... Where in the world is Kamalama Ding Dong? Oh, don't you worry, my fans of Kamalama Ding Dong. I know you were probably wondering if she showed up to the State of the Union or if she was too busy protecting the southern border like she has not been doing this entire time. Well, since this was another opportunity to stand behind and off to the side, waiting for the president to take a drink of that not at all poisoned water. Anywho, Kamala was there, but she was just fading into her chair, and I guess I know why she was trying to blend into the furniture. After what she said earlier in the day, well, it makes sense.
So Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong.
Basically, that's elementary. You can't really expect much more out of her. And then there's Nancy, who must no longer have the strength to rip up speeches, but she does have the strength to bizarrely cheer.
And our troops in Iraq in Afghanistan have faced many dangers. One being stationed at bases breathing in toxic smoke from burn pits. Many of you have been there.
As we already know, Nancy really likes breathing in toxins, but we must address perhaps the best moment of the night.
The American Rescue Plan helped working people and left no one behind.
As you can see with that portrayal, the masks are off in a number of ways. The mask mandate was dropped in the House just 2 days ahead of the State of the Union address. Wow, I didn't see it coming, except duh. With polling coming in so poorly for Biden, his handlers had to do something to make it appear like something was going well. And if most of the country is over the virus because it is long over from a public policy perspective, then they would look even more buffoon-like if they all showed up diaper-faced. Buffoonery was still had, though, because Biden is inept. The party called on not one, not two, but 3 Democrats to respond to his mumble jumble. Now, usually it's the opposing party who has someone respond, and the Republicans this year put out Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds. But to have 3 members of your own party puppeted out there just shows how pathetic a state we are really in. And with one of the respondents being squad member Rashida Tlaib, you knew there'd be a gem in there with the laundry list from the Build Back Better monstrosity.
No one fought harder for President Biden's agenda than progressives. We rallied together with our supporters, held town halls in our communities, engaged new people, and we even played hardball in Congress. But 2 forces stood in the way. A Republican Party that serves only the rich and the powerful, and just enough corporate-backed Democratic obstructionists to help them succeed.
We got a little inroads fighting going on right there. It's productive to no one, but we aren't the ones who matter to them anyway. It's almost as if they don't care about any lives but themselves. And they don't. In desperate attempt to win over some of the party and end even more lives, the Senate voted on Monday 46-48 to block the attempt at getting the Women's Health Protection Act, aka abortion on demand, to be voted upon. 6 senators didn't vote, and Senators Joe Manchin of West Virginia and Bob Casey of Pennsylvania were the only 2 Democrats with a moral conscience. Some of these people will do anything to kill babies, and Biden acknowledged them.
Advancing liberty and justice also requires protecting the rights of women. The constitutional right affirmed by Roe v. Wade, standing precedent for half a century, is under attack as never before. If you want to go forward, not backwards, we must protect access to health care, preserve a woman's right to choose, and continue to advance maternal health care for all Americans.
See how he said maternal as a euphemism for abortion? Maternal means motherly, as in motherly to a baby, which then means there has to be recognition that the woman is pregnant with the baby, not just a clump of cells or whatever other euphemism they use, even when they're talking about a woman carrying a baby that is full term. But I digress the point. In preparation for the 1 whole hour State of the Union address, and while Ukraine was being bombed all weekend, Biden rested up. He needed to be prepared to follow through on his marching orders.
President, you believe Putin would use a nuclear weapon?
Mr. President, are you worried about nuclear war?
As we all see, Biden needs a walker, or maybe a motorized scooter. Not like Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky, who told the Biden administration he doesn't need a ride, he needs ammunition. And the New York Times, using the journalistic integrity of a gnat, thinks that Ukraine needs masks. Actually published in the newspaper, once called the newspaper of record, will be known as the paper that actually focused on the lack of mask wearing by Ukrainians whilst running for their lives. Video images of the large numbers of Ukrainians on the move show understandably few signs of face coverings, even as the country is just getting past a record high point in its infection rate. Yes, understandably, New York Times, which is oblivious to reality. That, my friends, is what we're working with here. All right, friends, now is the time to remember what, according to Political, the Obama of the Bro-Obama said while Biden was running for president. Don't underestimate Joe's ability to F things up. I encourage you all to not F things up, but to give a few Fs. Faith, family, and friends. And if you could share the video, we can show how effed up things really are. Until next time, let's go Brandon, and stay healthy, America.